Hi everybody, we're going to be doing some Yin Yoga in about a minute. So if you have a bolster, this is a bolster. Grab your bolster, which we use in Yin all the time. If you don't, grab a pillow or a cushion, something like that. This is the first one, so you can send some comments if it's too dark or too light, or if I'm too loud or if I'm not loud enough. Let me know for next time. And yoga blocks are optional. If you have a yoga block or two, then grab your yoga blocks. I might be adjusting the lighting as we go through here because the sun is setting and it's going to get darker. So when you're ready, get your yoga mat all ready. We're going to start out down on our backs. If you have your bolster around, put it down along the length of your spine behind you. And just like in our regular Yin class, recline down on it. Make it comfortable. If you don't have a bolster, don't worry about it. Just come down onto your mat. Arms can come out to the side, or you can drop them, lift them up to the ceiling and drop them behind you. And then just bring the soles of the feet together. Once you're there, into that butterfly position. So soles of the feet come together, nice and comfortable. Knees just fall out to the side and relax back down. That's your starting position for the next few minutes. Lots going on around the world, so we're going to take out about an hour or so and relax, get back to ourselves. This is just one little way of reducing everybody's stress. If I can do that a little bit with some Yin, that's what we're going to achieve this evening. So once you're down, try to relax. So the biggest thing you want to do here is just do a quick scan from the head to the toes. In that nice relaxed position. And the most common areas that we hold our stress would be in the shoulders, so relax the shoulders, and all the facial muscles. So most people clench their jaw, especially these days, so just relax the jaw. Maybe unhinge it a little bit, allow the lips just to part a tiny bit. And neck and shoulders, most important, that's where we hold all that stress, so just relax with the neck and shoulders. And then from there, find the breath, so close the eyes. And these days you're probably doing a really short inhale and exhale, like maybe 25% of your lungs. So you really just want to start to expand that as much as you can. Try to get up to 75% or 100% of your lung capacity. So all that means is a big inhale to the belly and up through the ribs, and then puffing the chest out, holding it just for half a second or a second. And then just nice, relaxing exhale on the way out. And that's the way that we start class. So it's all about just soothing the body, finding some tranquility. And in yoga, we call it the pranayama. So we're using the breath, the breathing, to connect with the mind and the body. So with Yin, we're normally trying to open up that deep connective tissue where we're holding all that tension. So the example I often give is, think of a Spider-Man suit. If you were to find a Spider-Man suit that was made of Lycra and you put it on, that's exactly what your fascia is, or your connective tissue from the head all the way down to the tips of your toes. It's interlaced and connected. So we're just trying to relax all that, open it up, the muscles along the way, the ligaments. So after the first minute or two, just think about a little bit of a deeper breath in and out. And think about a relaxing and soothing exhale. That's the most important part. So you're soothing the body, relaxing down on your back. The nicest thing you can do this evening is just start to connect with that exhale. So you're going to find a big deep inhale, But then just listen to the exhale. The exhale is the signal to the brain that it's time to relax. Just like a sigh of relief is a sign to relax. And the same way that when you get rid of some stress, you kind of sigh, relax your shoulders. It's that same thing that we're trying to do here with that exhale. So if you're new to Yin or you haven't done a whole lot of Yin, just go at your own pace. Really listen to your body. If I go into a pose this evening and it's not comfortable, then just find child's pose or some other option that feels really good. You don't have to do every pose, especially something that's bothering an old injury or a neck injury, hip, knee. You're just going at your own pace. So I always teach that your yoga mat is your sanctuary. So think of your yoga mat as your own personal space for advancement, and you just go at your own rate. Do what feels good for you. So we're going to relax just a little bit more before we start to warm the body up slightly. So take your time. When you're ready, you're going to plant your feet flat on the floor. You're going to take your arms out beside you on the floor in the shape of a T. Palms can face up or down, so your arms are just out by your shoulders. Your feet are going to be flat with your knees bent. Your feet should be about hip distance apart, so lining up your hips, your knees, and your feet. Eyes are closed. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, just relax everything down. Now, if you still have a bolster under your back, you want to just roll off the bolster and move it out of the way. Should have told you that first. And then some real slow motion windshield wipers. So think of a normal windshield wiper, just like on your cars, going left to right. And then we're going to slow them down by about 10 times. So think of if you were inhaling, and that were to take about 4 or 5 seconds. And then holding that inhale in for about 1 second, and then exhaling for about 4 or 5 seconds. Start to coordinate that with your movement to the right, so dropping your knees to the right. And then take about 5 seconds to lift them up, come through center, and dropping them over to the left. So just warming the body up, the hips and the spine, really, really slowly. Once you get down to one side, maybe stay there just for 1 second. And then come up. So coordinate the movement with the breath. And then as always, if it feels okay on the neck, the head goes in the opposite direction. So as both knees come to the floor on the right, your head turns to the left. And then just go back and forth. So go at your own pace, just relax into it, warming everything up. So as we go through each pose, just think about doing a quick scan on your first breath. So every time we go into a pose and you take your first inhale and exhale, just ask the question, am I holding any tension right now? And then just relax those same areas, neck and shoulders, jaw muscles. And then when you're ready, let's come back to center. So the knees are going to stay bent. Arms are still out to the side. We're just going to lift the right leg up and we're going to cross it over the left knee. And then there should be a space between your legs for a lot of people. So let's squeeze that space together so that there's no space. Now about half the people have the flexibility to hook that top foot under the bottom ankle. And half the people can't do it. So if you can't do it, don't worry about it. Just leave it out. And then relax, close the eyes, take one breath in and out. And then on the next exhale, dropping both knees to the right, your head turns to the left. Take your time in it, and remember your first breath or two is just the one where you're going to relax into it. So you're closing the eyes, and you're just settling down into the mat. Find that sigh of relief, that relaxation, that therapeutic sigh where your shoulders just meet the mat. Relaxing as much as you can here. This is just a little twist, gentle opener for the hips and the spine. And then when you're ready, without unwinding your legs, so you're not untwisting, you're keeping them in the exact same position. We're just moving from the right side over to the left. So come back through center, dropping both legs over to the left. Head turns opposite direction. And if you're like me, you might have had a few cracks in the back when you did that. Mine just cracked 3 times, which is nice and healthy. Opening everything up, loosening everything up. Remember your first and second breath, maybe you're just relaxing into it. So big inhale, filling the full lung capacity, and then just sighing everything away on that exhale, relaxing down. Gentle twist to the second side. One more big breath in and out. And then when you're ready, bringing the legs back to center. And then we're going to do a good morning stretch. So you're going to stretch your legs out nice and long. So squeeze your legs together, flatten them out on the mat, point your toes. So this is called extension when you're pointing the toes. And then lift the arms up to the ceiling. Interlace your fingers except for your index finger. And then drop the arms behind you. And the goal here is just like when you wake up in the morning, your good morning stretch. Try and squeeze in opposite directions, getting your biceps close to your ears. And on the inhale, you want to squeeze. On the exhale, release. And just do that a couple of times. We're still warming the body up. And then release on your next exhale. Coming back to balance the body on the other side. So we're going to take the left foot, cross it over the right knee. Arms are out to the side like a T once again. If there's a space between your legs, close that space. And if you can hook the top foot under the bottom calf muscle or ankle, do that. And then relax for your next breath in and out. Close your eyes. And when you're ready on your next exhale, dropping both knees to the left this time, and the head goes to the right. So just be aware if you are reverting back to that shallow breathing. Yoga is all about using the total expanse of the lungs. So you want to find that full inhale and full exhale. That's what's going to relax you into your poses, especially yin poses. So relax into it. No tension in your jaw. Relaxing everything in your upper torso. One more big breath in and out. Remember, same as last time, you're keeping your legs interconnected. And then when you're ready, on your next exhale, lifting up from the left, and then transferring through center, over to the right, head turns to the left. Do that quick scan of the body and just relax. And then settle in, everything is nice and soft, so all your facial muscles are soft. And then it's all about the breath, so just make that breath nice and relaxing as possible. That's the key to connecting with the mind and the body, is through that pranayama, that breath. So this is the original yoga studio from when I first got my yoga teacher training back in 2011. This is above my garage, and this is where I used to do free classes while I was doing my teacher training. And we had a really nice sunset. It just went behind the clouds about a half hour before we started this. Too bad. We'll get amazing sunsets up here, super relaxing. So a couple more breaths in and out. And then release and relax. From where you are, let's just roll over, come to a seated position. So if you're one of those people that is super tight, you may want to sit on something. So if you have a really sturdy cushion, sit on it. If you're flexible, then you won't have to do this. But I'll always show how to use the props and the blocks and everything for those that need it. If you don't have something like that, you can sit on your block. So you can come up, make it nice and comfortable. We're going to find Sukhasana, which is seated easy pose, crossing the legs. Now just remember which foot is in front, because we will be switching it a little bit here. So nice and comfy, and you sit nice and tall and relax here. I'm going to bring a block out in front of me just to show you a couple of options here. From here, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm just going to relax the shoulders down, slight arch to my lower back. I'm going to bring my hands down to my side, and on an inhale, I'm going to fill the lungs up nice and high. Hands come together, and then on an exhale, I'm just going to fold forward, and I'm going to reach. I'm going to find I'm coming towards the front of the room. And then when I can't go any further, I'm just going to round the spine and relax down. Now, in this case here, I'm going to come with my forearms down onto my block, my two blocks. If you only have one block, you can stand it up nice and high. And same thing here. Just watch where you're holding tension. Now these are tense times around the world, right? So we all have tons of extra tension. So it's really quick after a couple, real easy after a couple of breaths to come back and find all that tension. So relax into it. Five more breaths. And last breath in and out, nice and slow. And then just rounding, walking your hands, coming back up, nice and tall. We're going to switch here into butterfly position. So for those that don't know butterfly position, you can do the same thing. You can sit on something if you're tight, and if you don't need to, then don't worry about it. You're just going to do the same thing we started off the beginning of class with, that butterfly position with the soles of the feet connecting completely together, and your knees just drift off to the side. And if your knees are really high, it just means your hips are tight. That's perfectly normal. So a few options here depending on your level of flexibility. We're going to start with the arms down by our sides once again, and inhale up nice and high, and then exhale coming forward. Now you can just relax, and you can tent your fingers and just have your fingertips just gently touching the mat. You could bring your block in front or your two blocks and just relax here. So that would make it very passive. Or if you're not using your bolster, you can use your bolster here in many different variations, just relaxing into it. If you want to make it more active and you're looking for a deeper stretch, then you can grab your toes or your ankles. Or the deeper stretches, if you reach your two hands between your legs and you slide them out along your feet on the inside of your legs, and then just lift your feet up a little bit, and then just hook on with your hands, and that'll just give you a little bit of leverage to pull your body down a little deeper, and that's just for those who are looking for a deeper stretch. Now, no matter which version you're using, make sure that you relax on your next breath. Close your eyes and find your lungs. So breathing nice and deep, inhale, exhale. And if you can only go an inch or two, then don't worry about it. And if you can go all the way down to the floor, then that's great also. So if you're super stiff, then you should be doing more yoga. That's what I always tell everybody. And eventually you'll have lots of progress. I was super stiff from sports for a long, long time. And yoga has helped me a lot, preventing injuries, and it's my main activity these days. So stay in your butterfly pose for a few more breaths. And then on your next exhale, work your way out. So you're just coming back up. And then we're going to find Sukhasana again, so switch into the other side. So remember which foot that you had in front the last time. And it's normally the one that you'll always put in front. Would have been the first time we did it. You'll go with your natural foot in front, so you might have to switch. I'm left-handed, so normally my left foot always goes in front, so I'm going to switch it up. And when you're ready, same thing again. So we want to drop the shoulders, a little bit of an arch, allowing the chest to come through, so pulling the shoulders back so that we're not holding all that tension in the upper body. And then same thing again, close the eyes, and then big inhale, and see if you can fill the lungs. And then on the exhale, exact same thing, reaching forward first, and then when you can't reach any further, just drop, rounding the spine. I'm going to demonstrate coming down on my bolster this time with my elbows. More flexible people can get their forehead down to the bolster, or maybe the forehead all the way down to the floor. Less flexible people, I'll show you what you can do. You can pile up a couple of blocks on the bolster or on the floor, and just relax forward. And in yoga, we just call these props. So the blanket, the blocks, the bolster, there's no wrong way to use them. They're just here to help you make your yoga experience a little easier. So I always encourage people to grab them and use them during every class. Make everything comfortable. Five more breaths. Body's getting nice and warmed up now, so make those breaths, that whole breath cycle nice and long. Stretch it out. Last breath in and out. And then when you're ready, we'll work our way up tabletop position. So I always tell people here, this is a good time if you have a yoga blanket or something to put under your knees. It takes the pressure off the kneecap and makes it a little more comfortable. So I always demonstrate using it with the blanket. So I'm just going to place that under my knees, and we're going to find, starting in tabletop, and tabletop is just as it sounds, you're going to be in the shape of a table. So just like your kitchen table, everything's lined up, shoulders, elbows, wrists, and my hips and my knees. So from here, tabletop, your toes can be tucked or they can be flat. We're going to take the right leg and stick it out behind us, nice and straight. And you can press through the heel if you want, so flex the toes back towards your elbows. Spread your fingers nice and wide for stability and balance. And you can stay here if you want. However, if you find that easy and you want to challenge your balance, opposite arm. So left arm comes up off the mat and it reaches in the opposite direction. If you need a break, take a break at any time. If you find this real easy, the last option is the hardest, but you reach back with that outstretched hand, you bend the knee of that outstretched leg, and you grab it. So left hand grabs right foot, and then you can find a very balanced tabletop version of dancer pose, kind of. And you're just going to put a little pressure into the leg. And you have three choices of where to bring your gaze here, or your drishti. You can look down at the mat. If you're a beginner, you should be looking at the mat. Otherwise, you can look to the left at the wall, or over your left shoulder, way up at the ceiling. 2 more breaths. And then last breath in and out. And find a nice controlled release. So don't have that spring release, nice and controlled. Coming back down, find tabletop. And then find child's pose. So just for a little break here, for those that don't know what child's pose is, you're going to flatten out your toes behind you, bring them together, open up your knees, and just sit your bum down and relax. And then just stretch your arms out nice and long, dropping your chest and your chin down. That's child's pose. So child's pose is a very important pose. It's your go-to pose if you ever get a cramp in a muscle, or you just need a little break, or you're tired. Then it's the go-to pose for all those reasons. One more big breath in and out. And then popping back up, tabletop again, other side. Left leg comes out nice and long. I'm going to push through my heel. My fingers are going to be spread wide. Opposite arm is going to come up in my case, but you don't have to do it. You can keep both hands connected if you want, if you're a beginner. And then if you want to add some balance, you're going to reach back. Outstretched hand is going to find that bent foot. 3 choices: look at the mat, look at the wall to the right, or look up at the ceiling over your right shoulder. So try to relax into the pose, keep the breath cycle the exact same, so it's easy just to do like a 1 second inhale and a 1 second exhale here. But the body wants you to give it lots of air, lots of breath. Last breath in and out. And then same as last time, nice slow release. Come on down, find child's pose, open the knees, sit your bum down, and relax. Take 5 breaths there. From here, we're going to come into puppy pose. So for puppy pose, for people that want to get a deeper stretch, I would recommend using your blocks under your hands or your bolster under your hands. If you're just a beginner, then you don't need any of that. You just want to use the floor and the mat. So once again, I'm going to bring my yoga blanket under my knees, and our starting point is the exact same. I'm going to show puppy pose using my blocks. You guys can use the blocks, bolster, or just the mat. You'll have to make a couple of adjustments here to get into the final version, but start off in tabletop. And then I'm going to keep my lower body exactly where it was in tabletop, so I'm not going to move my hips or my legs. I'm just going to walk my hands out. And the goal here is to have my arms straight and to sink down, bringing my armpits towards the mat, my chest and my chin down towards the mat. So I'm going to stretch out nice and long, and then I'm just going to arch my back and drop everything down. So I'm bringing my chest essentially and my chin, my head down towards the mat. Now that's a deeper stretch there. If you don't want it to be as deep, you can just use the mat instead of using any of the props. Now normally your hands would be, your arms would be about shoulder distance apart in this pose. But if you kind of wiggle your hands a little closer together so that your thumbs touch, it'll help those of you that are tight in the upper back and the tricep area. Just a couple more breaths in and out. You can do that if you want to. And then for puppy pose, work your way out. Coming back. We're going to come back, find a seated position, finding staff pose. So Dandasana. Sitting up nice and tall. Once again, you can do it. You can do sitting on a bolster or a block. Legs come straight out in front. I'm going to push through my heels and I'm going to bring my toes back a little bit. And then sitting nice and tall, drawing the shoulders back. Inhale, arms are going to come up. On an exhale, I'm going to reach forward, so I'm going to find length first, so reach, 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 and then when I can't reach anymore, I'm just going to round my back and relax here. So a couple of options, you can be passive here, so find a nice passive yin pose, which means you're just relaxing down. If you're looking to be a little more active, then you can grab under your calves or your ankles. If there's some of you that are runners or athletic and you're tight through the backs of your calves and the Achilles and through that plantar fascia area at the bottom of the feet, then I do recommend trying to reach your feet, even if it's using a strap, maybe pulling the toes back, grabbing the sides of your feet, or preferably if you can reach over the top of your foot, even if you're bending your knees, reach over the top. And you're going to feel that whole line from the back of your neck all the way down through your feet. Relaxing into it, no tension. Try to relax the shoulders a little bit. think of a breath cycle that's about 4 to 5 seconds on the way in, and then holding it for a second, and then about 4 to 5 seconds on the way out. One more breath in and out. On the exhale, just come back up nice and slow, and then we're going to open up the legs into that shape of a V. So you're just opening your legs nice and wide like you're doing a seated splits. So if you have anything that you can bring in front of you, like a pillow or a block, then it's really nice here to just fold forward onto that when you're ready. If you're more flexible, then you won't need to use any of your props here, unless you're choosing to. So sit nice and tall once again, dropping the arms down, relaxing, closing the eyes, inhale coming up, and reaching the fingertips up nice and high. And then same thing as before, exhaling, finding your length, and then just relaxing into the pose. So I'm demonstrating just coming down, resting on a block. Obviously, if you're more flexible, you can come down forearms, or your head can come down to the floor. Open the jaw a little bit, relax the shoulders, close the eyes. And then the last thing, the only other thing you need to do is just start to connect with that breath. If you're looking for something a little deeper, for those of you that can reach your feet, then you can make it a little more active. So you can grab ankles, you can do peace fingers around the toes, you can reach insides of the feet, outsides of the feet, until you find that stretch that feels good for you on this particular night. Few more breaths here. On your next exhale, work your way out. Come up. If you're on a bolster or sitting on anything, come off of it. And we're coming back to the same pose, so Dandasana. So staff pose, nice and relaxed here, starting off. We're going to work our way to shoelace pose. So the next pose that we do is going to have about 5 variations. And everybody's a little different in this pose, so you're going to find the one that works for you. And when you feel a stretch, that's where you're going to stop. So you don't need to proceed into the next layer or next level once you find that. So we're going to start with the right leg, and we're just going to bend that right leg up. And then we normally hug with the opposite arm. So right leg is bent. I'm going to hug with my left arm, or you can hug with both arms. Now sometimes people will hug with the left arm, and if you feel you need a little balance, you're going to bring your right hand behind you, just away from your spine, if you find you need a little balance. If not, you can hug with both arms. So if you feel you're getting a stretch here, stay here. However, the next level would just be to move that foot, so your right foot on the bent leg from the inside, up and over, and just bring it to the outside of that left leg. That's just going to change the position, deepen the stretch. Same thing, you can hug with one arm, 2 arms, or bring that right hand behind you. And just relax here. If you find that real easy, then lean over to the left. We're going to take the pressure off of the body here, and I'm just going to fold that left leg under and behind me. So bring the heel of that left leg back towards your butt. So you're just folding that left leg back and coming back up. Same thing, you can hug with one arm, both arms, or you can have that right hand behind you for support. Now, if you feel like you want to stay here, which a lot of people do, you can deepen the stretch with the arm that you're hugging with. So my left arm is now just under my knee. I can lift it up and then over my knee and then just drop it on my thigh. And then I can push into my elbow, and that's going to give me a little leverage. And then I can turn my head and look behind me over my right shoulder, and that's just going to give me a nice spinal stretch. Stay here if you want, and for those of you that know cow face pose, or in Yin we call it shoelace pose, I'm going to lean way over to the left, take the pressure off. I'm going to grab my right foot with my right hand, and I'm just going to bring it back as far as I can, and I just want to match my feet up so that they're a mirror image of one another. So my right foot is a mirror image of my left foot. They're both close back by my hips. It's a little different for everybody. Don't push yourself into this last pose because it can be very, very tight on the hips, the IT band, your hip flexors, everything here in through the glutes. If you're really open through the hips, then I recommend you have three options here. You can hug and come down to the middle, or you can drift off, coming down on your elbows, or maybe a block on the left. And the challenge here is to drift off to the right. So this is really getting into your connective tissue. If you try and twist to the right, it's a nice deep stretch all through the IT band, the piriformis, the glutes. Getting into the hip flexors here. This one is a battle with the mind and the body here, using your breath. So much going on in this pose. If your knees are tight, this will be a hard pose until you start to open everything up over the months. Three more breaths in and out, so try to relax as best as you can. On your next exhale, leaning back, straightening the legs out. And then just bring your hands behind you, lean way back. We're just trying to get the blood flowing through the body again here, so just give the legs a little wiggle or a little shake. Now you know what to do for the second side, so we're going to go right into it a little quicker. Bending the left leg this time, hugging with the opposite arm. So I'm going to hug my left knee with my right arm, or both arms, or you can bring that left hand behind you for balance if you need it. You can keep the foot on the inside of the right leg, or lift it up and over to get a little deeper into the next pose. And you can hug once again, same thing. You can stay here, or if you're going to proceed into the next area, lean over to the right this time, taking the pressure off, bend that right leg all the way back towards your butt, and then come back up, hug with your right arm, or maybe two, and maybe you're bringing your left hand behind you for support. If you're going to stay here, you have the option of keeping your arm where it is on the shin, or lifting it up, placing it on the thigh, and then digging into that thigh for leverage. Now turning and looking over your left shoulder behind you. And the last version, so be cautious with the shoelace pose. Your cow face pose, leaning over to the right. I'm going to grab my left foot with my left hand and bring it all the way back as far as I can. Make sure everything is comfortable, and then settle in here. Use your props at any time that you need to. I always teach my students, if you're tight in this pose, grab your bolster and put it on its highest level, and then just hug it, drop your head down on top of it, and that feels nice. lots of mobility. You can drift off, remember, to the center, the left, or the right. Three more breaths. On your next exhale, nice slow release, same thing, lean back. Give the legs a little shake, give them a break. Now the next couple of poses are what I always call not the most fun poses on the planet, but they're good for you. So we're going to get into stretching the toes, and only about 30 seconds in each pose, so it's not going to be long, but it's a little easier if you have blocks or something that you can grab onto. So the first thing we're going to do is come on hands and knees and then tuck the toes under. So tucking the toes under is the harder version. And then you can control the amount of weight that you want to have into your toes by leaning forward. The more you sit your bum down towards your heels, the more weight, the harder it is. And the more you come upright, it gets harder. And if you bring your upper torso vertical, it's harder. And if you start to lean back, then that's about the hardest. And if you're at home, remember, I'm doing this for you, so don't curse at me. No cursing in yoga. I'm trying to stretch out your toe joints. One more breath in and out. And then we flatten the toes out, so flatten the feet out. And then just sit your bum down on them. Now, if you're super tight through your ankles here, this is a spot where you would grab your yoga blanket or a mat or something and roll it up, and you would place that under the ankles. And that would take the pressure off. Same thing, leaning forward takes the pressure off. Leaning back adds more pressure. For those of you that can go all the way down onto your back here in saddle pose, like all the way, you might as well take advantage of that. Work your way down. If you can't do that, then don't worry about it. But for some people, just to sit on their feet with their toes flat, they don't get anything out of it unless they do that. So let's just do a couple more breaths. And then release. So we're going to come to a seated pose for a moment. Remember, you can sit on the bolster here if you want. We're going to do a shoulder opener exercise. So make sure it's comfortable. If you find you're super tight in this position, just grab your yoga block. You get these anywhere. They're only $7. It's always good to grab a couple of them. We're going to find eagle arms here. So eagle arms, we're going to start with the right arm out in front. So my right arm's out in front. I'm going to swing the left arm under, and I'm just going to hook the crease of that arm under that tricep muscle. So swing the left arm under and hook it. Now if you can't connect your hands here, just draw that arm across and twist your torso to the left, and you're going to get a stretch. If you can connect your hands here into like a prayer position, and if you're new to yoga, you might only get your wrist or your thumb or something here, and over time, as your tight shoulders open up, you'll get a little deeper into it, of course. And if you're tight, your elbows are going to be down close to your belly button. So just try and reach up a little bit, getting your elbows a little higher. Some people like to fold forward here. So if you're really open in this pose, fold forward all the way down, or as far as you can go. And then use your breath. So the connective tissue between your shoulders is like a super tense area these days. all around your neck and shoulders. So this is one thing we're doing to open that area. Last breath in and out. And then release, give the arms a little shake. If your legs are folded, switch sides. We're always trying to balance the body. We had right arm out last time. This time we're taking left arm out. So remember, we're going to try and swing the right arm this time. Get the crease hooked under that tricep. So swing the right arm, hook it. Either option A, just draw your body across, turning your torso to the right. Or if you can find those prayer hands, hook them in. And if you're doing that, remember trying to lift the elbows up as high as you can, but making it comfortable. And then the last option here is to fold forward. Eyes are closed, and you're connecting with the breath. So easy to hold tons of tension here, especially in the shoulders. So the goal here is try to relax the shoulders a little bit. And always asking the same question, am I breathing fully into my lungs? Full inhale, full exhale. One more breath in and out. If you're folded forward, work your way back up. Release, give the arms a little shake. We're going to come into a nice relaxing frog pose. And I mean relaxing for most people. Lots of people don't find this relaxing. But if your hips are tight, you're not going to like this pose, but it's very therapeutic. So you want to, I recommend using your bolster or have a pillow in front of you for this pose. And if you have a yoga blanket, same thing as before, you want to have it under your knees, but you want to have it a little wider this time. So I'm going to fold my yoga blanket wider than my mat. So really wide, like a super wide rectangle. Either that or turn sideways on your mat so that when you open your knees, they're not going off the mat. Because if I start frog pose the regular way here with my mat the regular way, and I open my knees really wide, my knees are coming off the mat. So either turn sideways on the mat or use your yoga blanket. So 3 things here to start off with frog pose. I'm going to open my knees as wide as I can. My feet are going to be flat behind me, so start off wide knees. My butt is going to come down towards my heels or the floor. And then the frog part of it, where it gets its name from, is you're going to open up your feet behind you. So for some people that might only be 3 inches, and for super flexible people that have lots of mobility in their hip joints and knee joints, that can be 2 or 3 feet. So experiment with having wide knees, your hips are low, and then open your feet behind you as wide as you can. So once you find that combination, we're going to come down onto the floor in front of us. I'm going to demonstrate using my bolster, bringing it into my belly button, and just coming down and hugging it. For those of you looking for the deepest stretch, then you're just not going to use the bolster. You're going to come down all the way with your chest and maybe turn your cheek to one side, coming all the way down onto the floor. Now if you need a break after a minute or so, just come out and find child's pose or anything that feels good. Relax. We're getting into the groin here, so tight connective tissue through the groin, into the hips. Opening up the feet and the ankles. be aware of your shoulders and your jaw muscles and so on. Just make sure that you're relaxing as much as you can. If you feel that your hips and everything have opened a little bit, you may be able to wiggle your knees a millimeter or two wider here and then just resettle back into the pose. A few more breaths. Last breath in and out. So lots of pressure on the joints here. So when you're ready to come out, hands come under the shoulders, lots of support in the foundation, and then just work your knees back together. You can find any posture you want here to take a little break and then end up in our recovery pose. So recovery pose is just going to be coming down into that prone position, so flat on your stomach. And this is just a relaxation pose, nice and long. So just flatten out on your mat, take a little break. We have about 30 seconds here, a little recovery break after frog. You can reverse windshield wiper if you like doing that, bending at the knees and just swinging the feet back and forth. And from here we're going to come into a nice yin pose, very therapeutic for the body. It's called cat pulling its tail. Some people might need a strap to hook onto the foot if you can't reach your foot in this pose. But I normally demonstrate it by standing up first. So if you picture yourself from where you are in your prone position now, flat on your mat, I'm just going to stand up and pretend that I'm flat on my mat. So I'm going to start off with my right arm out in front of me on the floor. And I'm just going to sneak my right leg up beside me, just at a 90-degree angle. So that's the starting position. So once you're there, you're going to reach the left hand back and bend the right leg and grab that foot. If you can't grab the foot, wrap a strap around it and grab the strap. So left hand grabs right foot, and then I'm going to straighten my left leg out and away from me and push off of it. And the goal here is just to roll over onto my back. Now some people might not get anywhere close to that, and some people can go all the way over. So think of the back of your left shoulder coming down towards the floor, coming down towards the mat. More flexible people, you can reach further up your foot, grabbing the ankle or the shin. And if you're still looking for a deeper stretch, then think about opening up the distance between your legs, like you're doing the splits. And the final option here, you can reach your right hand and see if you can grab your left foot. So that both hands are connecting with both feet. Take a breath to relax into the pose. Eyes are closed. Find that soothing breath cycle. Five more breaths. One more breath in and out. Make it nice and long and soothing and relaxing. Slow release. And then coming back into that prone position. Find that reverse windshield wiper if you want. 30 seconds for recovery. Taking a little break. And then starting to think about coming into the other side. So this time we're going to stretch the left arm out on the mat in front of us, and then bring the right leg up at that 90-degree angle beside us. That's your starting position. And from here, right hand's going to reach back, grabbing the left foot this time. And then pushing off that right leg, rolling over the back of your right shoulder this time, comes down towards the mat. More flexible people, you can reach a little higher up the shin if you want. And you can open the distance like you're doing the splits, open the distance between your feet. And you have the option this time also if you want to connect that left hand with the right foot or the big toe of that right foot. It's a deeper stretch. This is the yin pose called cat pulling its tail. Relax into it as much as you can. We have about 10 or 15 minutes left. We're just going to slow it down, come into the breath a little more with each pose. We only have a couple of poses left. Pigeon pose and deer pose. So just a few more breaths. Make them nice and slow. And then same as last time, nice slow release, coming down into your prone position. You can find that reverse windshield wiper if you want. Child's pose if you like. Downward dog for a few breaths if you're looking for your downward dog. When you're ready, we're going to come into pigeon pose. In yin, we call it swan pose. We're going to work into sleeping swan, which is the lower version. So we start off in tabletop. I'm always going to demonstrate using it with my bolster, which is super relaxing. So in tabletop, for this pose, you normally move your body up to the front of your mat. So your fingertips are kind of close to the front of the mat. I'm in tabletop. And then I'm going to work on the right side first, so I'm going to slide my right knee along the mat until it just hits my right wrist. And then just drop everything there and relax. Straighten out that left leg nice and long, tuck the toes. And then spread your fingers and take your body weight into your hands. And the goal next is just to swing that right foot from where it is now on the right side of the mat all the way over to the left side of the mat. Or as far as it goes. Doesn't matter how far it goes, it's different for everybody. So swing that right foot over, and then drop the left knee down, and then stretch those toes out nice and long on that left foot. And then, if you want, I'm going to demonstrate using the bolster. I'm going to come down, bring that bolster into my belly button, and I'm going to come down and hug it and relax. I'll show a couple of options here. If you're looking for a deeper option, come down on your forearms or stretch all the way out. Drop your chest, drop your chin. The last version would be for those that are athletic people and who find that they're tight in their hamstrings and their glutes. then instead of staying in the center of the mat, you're going to walk your chest over your whole torso and drop it on top of that front bent leg. So just drop everything down, and that's just going to hit that different line of muscles, different angle. And depending on the amount of pressure that you can take, you can support yourself with your forearms, or if you want more pressure, wrap one hand behind your back, and the most amount of pressure you're going to balance here and reach both hands behind your back, grabbing one wrist with your other hand. And then just settle down nice and low into the pose. Try not to hold any tension, releasing everything down into the mat, softening everything. Think of the most soothing inhale and exhale that you can find when you're falling asleep on the couch watching TV, or the person beside you is falling asleep, and you can hear that big inhale, nasally inhale, and soft, long exhale. You know, hey, you're just about to fall asleep. See if you can find that inhale and exhale right now. They're the ones when the body sends the signal to the brain, it's time to just relax. Release all the tension, let go of your day. Three more breaths in and out. Now our transition is going to be through downward facing dog. And for those that aren't super familiar with it, it's just you're going to come up. I'll guide you through it, but essentially you're bringing the body into the shape of a triangle. And then we did the right leg last time. We're going to lift the left leg up high in the air when we're ready. And we're just going to bring that left knee down towards the left wrist and swing that left foot to the other side of the mat. Same as we did the other time, only a little different starting position. So from where you are, get your hands under your shoulders and come up, bring that right leg back. Your feet are going to be hip distance apart, fingers are wide. Find your down dog, reach the heels down, and then push back. Hips come high in the shape of a triangle. And when you're ready, the left leg is going to come up nice and high to the ceiling. And then I'm going to come forward, bring my left knee until it hits the wrist, and then swing that left foot to the other side of the mat. Dropping my right leg down, stretching those toes out. And then if you're using the bolster, same thing as last time. Find the version that works best for you. If you're a beginner, then make it nice and comfy with your bolster. If you're athletic or you're just looking for that deeper stretch, then work your way over to the left this time, dropping your whole upper body onto that front bent knee. And you can use one arm or two forearms for support, or start to peel things away, peeling your arm off the mat for a deeper stretch, or both arms off the mat. Take your next breath to relax as best as you can. Unhinging your jaw a little bit, parting your lips slightly. Breath cycle should be around 10 or 11 seconds. It's a good time to start to connect as much as you can with that exhale. So just start to listen to your own exhale. Connect with it. Let it be therapeutic for you. like that long, deep sigh that we were talking about. Three more breaths. And then when you're ready, you're either going to come out with your downward dog, and you can stay in that for 3 breaths or 5 breaths if you want. If you find you just need a little break, get the hands under the shoulders, bring that leg up, and then just come down. Find child's pose, or that prone pose for recovery. Flatten out on your stomach, or whatever you feel you need. We still have 1 pose left. We're going to finish off with deer pose. But take the next 30 to 40 seconds just to relax, or do your down dog. So remember, we're going to finish off with deer pose, and I'm going to give all the details of it on the right side. We're going to do right side first, and then I'm going to start to shut the lights down, make everything a little more comfy for us, and I suggest you do the same thing until we, as we get to prepare for the last little bit here, and then Shavasana eventually. So I'm going to bring my bolster, or if you have a blanket or a comfy pillow, I'm going to bring it over to the right side of my mat. I'm going to bring my feet flat on the mat. I'm going to bend my knees, and I'm just going to lean back into my hands. And kind of like if you were doing a windshield wiper, I'm just going to windshield wiper both legs down to the right, and I'm just going to let them both fall down. So this is called the wheel of life position, and both legs, when you look at them, they're in the exact same position, and the bottom of my right foot is actually just rested comfortably against the top of my left thigh, or the side of my left thigh. But everything, my legs, my shins, everything's flat on the mat, nice and comfy. Once I'm here, I'm going to look at my right knee. Now I'm going to turn a little bit just so you guys can see what I'm doing easier. I'm going to look at my right knee. I'm going to place one hand on either side of that right knee. I'm going to sit up nice and tall. And the first part of this is just a stretch to the right. So I'm just twisting my torso. I'm walking my hands to the right, I'm twisting, and then if you're choosing to use the bolster, which is the relaxation posture here, the passive version, I'm going to bring the bolster right into the side of my hip, and I'm going to come down and relax on it, hug it. Now if my head's turned to the left, it's easier, and a deeper stretch if I turn my forehead into it. And the deepest stretch is if I turn my head in the opposite direction to the right. You're going to feel a deep stretch through the neck and the spine. And that's where a lot of people like to stay here. Now, if you're looking for a slightly deeper version, just don't use the bolster and just drop down forearms or maybe chest. And if anybody needs a stretch through the back like I do and between the shoulders, we're going to thread the needle here. So if you don't know what it is, you can attempt it, but if you're not sure, then you can try it next time. So left hand is going to come up in the air. I'm going to be down on my right forearm, and I'm just going to walk the fingers of that left hand under my right armpit, and I'm turning my whole torso, my whole upper body to the right, and I'm walking my fingers like the little legs of a spider, and they're going to pull me under that armpit. So I'm going to pull, 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 and twist, and look, and then I'm going to try and drop that left tricep and my left shoulder down towards the mat. And for me, it's easier if I flip my palm up to the ceiling, and then I can put some pressure on that area and start to drop down. Use your next couple of breaths to relax and then slow your breath down. Minute on this side, so just take the time, make it super relaxing, settle into it. More breaths. Last breath in and out. Now your transition, if you're using a bolster or anything, you're just going to bring it over to the other side of your body. And it's just a simple windshield wiper from the right where you are now. Both knees are on the right. And then just come back through center and drop them over to the left. Then now you should be looking at your left knee and you're just going to walk your hands to the left. So your whole upper torso is twisting to the left. When you can't go any further, do the exact same thing you did last time. Drop your chest down onto the bolster or onto the mat. Those of you that want to thread the needle, drop down on your left forearm. Right hand comes up to the ceiling and you're threading the needle by gripping the mat with your fingertips of your right hand. And I'm going completely under my left arm this time. My torso is turning to the left. And I'm dropping my left tricep and the back of my left shoulder down this time. Or my right shoulder, sorry. And I'm going to flip the palm up towards the ceiling. So drop that right tricep and the right shoulder down. Feel that stretch there. More breaths on this side. breath in and out. Work your way back up, unwind. Grab whatever you'd like to do for your Shavasana, whether it's a blanket or your socks and a hoodie. Taking your time, working your way down onto your back. Blanket can be under your head, or you can have it nice and cozy, bring it all the way over your body, used as a blanket. You can find your left heel on the left corner of your mat, your right heel on the right corner, or you can find butterfly position if you like that, soles of the feet together. Arms can be down by your hips for your traditional Shavasana, or out to the side, or you can lift them up and drop them behind you. Our last few minutes will be nice and relaxing, so find a spot for your body that feels really good. Close the eyes. And then think of that soothing inhale and exhale that we were talking about just before you fall asleep. Big breaths in, big heavy breaths in and out. Facial muscles relax. Neck and shoulders relax. All the muscles in your arms, your wrists, your fingers. So your breathing slows down. Legs relax and roll out to the sides. Your calves, your feet. personal space. Taking your time, there's no hurry. Find a little bit of movement in your fingers, your toes, a little movement in your wrists, your ankles. Maybe your head goes left and right, up and down slightly. When you feel ready, roll over to your left or right side just for your last few final big inhales and exhales. Feel ready, take your time coming up to a nice tall seated posture. Once you're up, find a little slight arch to your lower back, so that just forces you to sit tall and engage everything so you're not slouched. These days we're spending more time home, so we're on Facebook, we're watching TV, and we're sitting in that slouched position, so sit nice and tall. And then we're going to open up the chest by just kind of reaching the shoulders back a little bit, so the heart's going to come through, come forward, opening through the heart. Eyes are closed, shoulders relaxed at the same time. We're going to take a big cleansing breath in and out, so a big strong inhale. Sigh it out. Arms come down by your side, gathering up all that energy and prana, positive thoughts we're sending out to the world. Namaste. Have a good evening, everybody. Thanks for participating. I'll do a whole bunch more for everybody because this was fun. Send me some comments. I'll do some yin, I'll do some power vinyasa stuff, and I'll do some beginner stuff. So just send me a few comments. Enjoy your evening. Relax. Keep your yin flow going, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care. Peace out.